Another question I've had is just it's difficult for people to get their head around some of the different organizations and some of the different trainings and things that were going on. Can you give a sort of a grand overview of all of the different business units that were active? Like, I know he had businesses before and businesses after, but can you give sort of a grand overview so we can kind of
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can do all of them. There was a lot at some point, but I can certainly
tell us, just give us a brief overview of the major ones,
yes.
and then what kind of a concise grasp on what each one was.
Yes. So, Nexium is an umbrella. This is the umbrella above all the companies. Nexium, in a sense, it's not a company itself, it's more a philosophy. It's a philosophy that is based on, rational inquiry and principles of humanitarian morality and giving and taking in integrity. Nexium is a philosophy that goes into all of the companies, without exception. This is the philosophical principles that are on any of the Nexium companies, but it was not a company itself. So then there's executive success programs. This was alive for 2 decades. This is the main one. This is what most people, the vast majority that in either side of this, they all entered to the Nexium community through executive success program, commonly referred to as ESP. Um, and this was a company designed to have people be more self-aware of their decision-making process and being able to measure that increase in self-awareness in people getting more of the results that they want in their life. So this is a program that you could take in intensives or you can take it on like ongoing basis. And it included a goals lab and a bunch of other things. It was focused on people being able to execute to get success based on an increase in self-awareness, based on observing one's decision-making process.
So okay, so Nexium is sort of the philosophy,
Yes.
and this is the message that this is the messaging that ends up causing. This is what the media is focused the message on. It's not a company, but this general philosophy.
Yes.
And one of the main company that was really drawing in the most people was ESP. And so I guess there's probably going to be a differentiation between formalized companies and informal associations. Is
Yeah,
that
there's yes, because there's things like Society of Protectors, which I am one of the heads now. I am the head of it now. This is a group of men that means to teach about honor and character and have other men that have your back, sort of like teams. This is a business, yes, but it's more of a movement. There was in Lakech in Mexico, which is the peace movement that was designing communities with the same Nexium principles so that they could do better against violence and poverty. These are not businesses, these were movements that were founded in Mexico. Here, there's Jeunesse. Jeunesse is a company that started as a women-only company where women formed friendships and they studied and explored what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a woman in this world, what's the differences between men and women, all this stuff that it's maybe, specific to women and as it related to men, but a group of women. Then this grew into a company that offered big trainings for men and women. And this
well, of
is
course that runs afoul of a lot of very deeply seated religious ideas.
absolutely, this
Jeunesse,
is
how do you spell that, with a J or a D
J
or
N J N E S S, Jeunesse.
JNESS? Okay, so continue on. So we've got ESP, SOP, and Jeunesse.
Yes, In La Catch was a movement, but this is not a company. It was a movement. At some point in an opening of the Pan American Games, I think, um, Anima, another company that was open in Mexico with partners with Keith, um, did shows and big events like openings and closures of sports events, where the message of of peace and humanity was Movimiento por la Paz. People would read a peace statement. People would do artistic things that would symbolize unity and nonviolence. So there was Anima and Inlakech. They sort of worked together for some at some point in Mexico. Jeunesse is more of a company. This is curriculum that was so good. I thank Jeunesse for a lot of the beautiful relationships I've built with my mom, with my wife, now with my daughter. Because it's difficult. We think we know everything about the other sex, but it's sort of a mystery. It's difficult, and anyone who tells you that understands women or women understands men and no problems in dating, or I don't know, it's difficult. Relationships with sisters are difficult. Relationships with brothers, with dad, mom. The gender thing is I mean, look at what's happening in society with genders. There's definitely a lot of unanswered questions. So this curriculum was very successful because people were able to bridge that gap and talk to the other sex. And the trainings were great because it was like, first women will discuss only with women, and men will discuss only with men, and then they would come together and discuss the same questions, but mixed groups of men and women. And it was wonderful. I learned so much. I It's like everything makes sense instead of having this blurry gray understanding of why men and women are the way they are. You have a more inductive experience of maybe what it was like to grow up as a little girl or as a little boy, and be able to understand the other sex in that way. So wonderful company. um, there's Rainbow multi-language program, where there was hundreds of kids. Some of them spoke 12 languages, at age 5 or 6 or 7. This is done by exposing children to many different languages a certain amount of hours a week. And because they're, if they're before 7 years old, the window of opportunity that absorbs language is fully open. And the way the brain works is use it or lose it. If when your window of language is open, all those neural pathways are on, you use them, they stay open forever. If you don't use them, they close. So the point on Rainbow Education was to use the opportunity that was the window that was open and pack it so that the brain became like just creative and smart. And the kids were wonderful. It has to do a lot with being more of a citizen of the world. I tend to have less prejudice against Mexicans because I grew up around them. If you have a figure that
or more, depending upon what group you grew up around.
right, you understand both of, you understand it deeply is the point. If you have that connection with everyone, with Asian, with Arabic, with Russian, with American, with Hispanic, you tend to be a more fluid, less prejudicial person, so to speak. So it was based on creating, people, children that spoke a lot of languages and their brains were very effective, but mainly they were humanitarian. They were not into violence or so much rejection and prejudice for people that were different, that looked different than them. So it's wonderful. It's a program that everyone who took a look at those, like children, people who had it at home, on the schools that existed in Mexico and stuff, kids were. It was wonderful to watch. What the potential is that we have. So there's Rainbow, Jeunesse, SOP, In the Catch, Anima, ESP. There was the Knife of Aristotle. This is a company that would take any news article, and instead of telling you if it's good or if it's bad, if it's truthful or not, it would apply a literal knife of standards. How much percentage of spin, as measurable as possible, how much spin, how much fabrication, how much is this information that can be verified, is this not. It would break down news articles and give it a rating, of how objective it was being for whatever site. But it was a company that it became very successful. At some point it was in Fox News. Elon Musk liked it and commented about it because it was wonderful. Look at our media today. They can make up stuff, and you'll never know. And this was a way of rating outlets and stations and articles so that you knew, not only how much bias they had, but you can consistently measure the nature of their bias and have a good understanding, a better understanding of what's true and what's not of anything that's being published. So the Knife of Aristotle. There's the Source. I developed these with Keith and Allison and other people. This is um, learning about how your expression relates to self-awareness, to your emotions, how you can communicate better and understand yourself better by accessing different characters, so to speak, but essentially by using your voice, your mouth, your head, your eyes, the way you move with your body. How can you use that as a keyboard to understand first your own software, your emotions, your awareness, and also other, you know so it has a lot of tools of deep rapport and tools of being able to be sensitive to expressions, be able to talk well. It helped me a lot on how to express. I went to acting school with Mike Nichols after I took ESP, so I was always very interested. I knew when I was going to school, thanks to the tools of ESP, I was like, there's this relationship between self-awareness and art. I didn't call it expression back then, but art. And there's this relationship. You could use art to know yourself better. People, this is common knowledge, but how? And then, in working with Allison and Keith, we came up with some of the basics of what you can do to use your expression to learn more about yourself and others. So it was an expression company, artistic enhancement company. That one was based on Ultima more than Nexium. Ultima is a little bit like Nexium. It has the Nexium principles, but for it was sort of another umbrella company for companies um, that did athletics and artistic performance. It's the science of expression and athletic performance. And there's an acting program. There's XOSO, which has a routine that looks like yoga from the outside of the room, but it has to do with doing circles and stretching all of the muscles so that you can like gain self-awareness. This is something it's a routine of that looks like yoga from outside, but it's something that awakens. It literally creates activation in all of the body so that you can be more aware of your body and perform better, but also through having more awareness of your sensations, of your athletics, of your expression, you develop more self-awareness. You are a human body performing athletics, a human body acting, not just a body type of thing. So
Right. So
there's
those are those the main companies? Have we covered those, or are there other ones?
there's other ones, but those are, I think, the mains. There's the Ethical Science Foundation, who was, researching the results of the Tourette's and the measurement of the study. So anyway, there's other things, and some of them are also important, but I'm forgetting them. Um, but that's a good number of them. Sorry that I'm rushing, but there's just so much to say about each.
No, no, that's fine.